management, or the station owner, William Patterson University. Anyone wanting to offer differing opinions may do so by calling the show at 973-720-2738. Abusive callers will be rejected. Now here's your program on WP 88.7 FM Brave New Radio.
Rituals and routine, which is I will read from 2 books, then I will let you know the weather, and then I will introduce our guest, or actually she's going to actually introduce herself, and then we'll be underway with our interview. So stay there. We're going to go ahead and get that started. Don't you dare move. As I said, I'm going to go ahead and share the weather with you. Right now in the Wayne, New Jersey area, 48 degrees. We're going to move to a high of 64. And then tomorrow on Sunday, we're going to have a high of 59 with a low of 43. On Monday, 61 degrees as a high, 46 as a low. Then we're going to creep back up into the 70s on Tuesday. 70 degrees as a high, 57 degrees as a low. Wednesday, a little bit warmer, however. We're going to have some clouds and looks like some showers. 72 as a high, 45 as a low. And on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, we're going to be cloudy. But we're actually going to see some raindrops on Wednesday. So equip yourself accordingly in terms of however you want to stay, whether you want to stay warm, cool, dry, or what have you. But that's the weather brought to you right here from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center. For today, out of the book, What Can Happen When We Pray, for October the 25th, it says, a spoken word. O God, do not keep silence. Do not hold your peace or be still. O God, let them know that you alone, whose name is the Lord, are the most high over all the earth. Psalm 83:1-18. Today's prayer. When I need you to speak, Lord, let your will and way be made known. Do not let my enemies or the naysayers make a mockery of you. Be glorified among them. Amen. Today's reflection. Every now and again, we desperately desire to see the power and majesty of God. We want God to openly confirm God's promises and plans for us. We need to be personally reminded that our God is the only true deity. We are afraid that God cannot be trusted. We don't want others to think too lowly of our God. We want non-believers to know that God is the Most High. So when God seems silent, we can begin to doubt God's ability, as if we think that God must prove God's worth to us. That's something to think about. So that's out of the book, What Can Happen When We Pray, from the book Until Today by Iyanla Van Zandt. Iyanla says for October the 25th, I will realize my own worth when I accept I have to access, or I have access to, a divine source of information. There is divine and universal information bank that is readily available to you anytime and anywhere. It has been designed to meet your needs. It can be printed on your mind or your heart. It can be retrieved by anyone who holds the basic knowledge that God is the software. You are the hardware or the hard drive. Whenever there is something you need to know, push your faith button. God will do the rest. If there is some programming, you have all the information you need. Every button you need to push is in your heart. All of the connecting cords are in your mind. The information package with directions is in your actions. Best of all, you have a lifetime guarantee that there can be an irreparable breakdown when God is your software. There can never be, rather. And if anything ever goes wrong with your hard drive, it can be fixed. Until today, you may have had no idea that you are a divine instrument full of useful and valuable information. Just for today, make sure that you are connected to your source. Ask to have whatever you need to do or know downloaded from the divine. Today, I'm devoted to being a walking, talking human computer. That's for today, October the 25th, from the book Until Today by Iyanla Vanzant. All right, always we open up with something to think about. Not proselytizing, not trying to convert, not trying to do any of that. All we're doing is kicking the show off in a positive vein, as we have done for the 13 years that I have been on the air. And I'm going to continue to do so because things just seem to flow after reading from those two books. So I'm going to continue to do that because I want things to continue to flow on Saturday mornings in a positive vein. Before we even kick off, big shout outs to Simon State. Today is his birthday, October the 25th. Happy birthday to you, Simon State. I wish you greetings throughout the broadcast, but today is October 5th, 25th, Mr. State's birthday. And then tomorrow, the 26th, is my mom's birthday, so I'm going to shout her out today too, as I won't be on the air tomorrow. So shout outs to Jane as well on the 26th of October, which is tomorrow. All right, as I told you earlier, my guest is on the line. She is here. And Mary, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mark.
All right, my guest this morning is Mary Bowers. And I'm looking here at your LinkedIn profile, but I was looking last night on various websites to see if I could get a bio on you, and I couldn't seem to find one. Maybe I just wasn't looking in the right places. But in any event, I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself and tell the listening audience who you are, and then we'll share some information with the folks, and we'll be underway. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Reading Circle microphone, Mary Bowers.
Hi. My name is Mary Bowers. I'm a writer, author, poet. And I've been writing since the age of 9. I'm a PK kid. My dad's a Southern Baptist minister. I grew up in the church, and all of my writings are straight from my heart, inspirational, motivational, and encouraging. And I just want the world to know the life that I live, because I write my life story in black and white for everybody to see.
Now, Mary, you have a pen name as well. Am I correct?
C'est la vie.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you say it again? Say it again.
C'est la vie.
Cedar V?
Yes.
Cedar V. Okay, because now that much I knew. I did find that much. Cedar V. All right, now which one do you go by on the books? Do you go by Mary Bowers or Cedar V?
I go
both?
by Mary Bowers.
You go by Mary Bowers on the books. All right, well, I'll tell you what, listening audience, you know what the drill is. Get on all your social media sites and let somebody know that Mary Bowers is on the line with me, and we're about to discuss her works. So that's all your social media sites, whether it's Twitter, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's texting somebody, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever social media you're on. I want you to get up and tell somebody to tune in to gobrave.org. And if they're in the northern New Jersey area, they can tune in to WP 88.7 FM. I'm going to share some information with you. I am not going anywhere, and hopefully neither are you, unless you're...
60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. So keep them active and eating well every day. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov. A message from USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
That's right. Yes, you are. You're listening to The Reading Circle on Brave New Radio, and I am your host, Marc Medley. My guest this morning is Mary Bowers, and we're going to be talking about her literary work. And Mary, I know your latest work was before the last Teardrop Falls, but I believe I saw some other work from you as well. Am I correct?
Yes.
So it's one. How many books have you written in all?
2 books, and I'm working on my 3rd book now.
So you're working on the 3rd, and according to what I'm looking here, before the last Teardrop Falls was released in July of 2014.
That's correct.
All right. Well, I tell you what, you kind of hinted at it whenever you were giving your bio in terms of when you began writing. That's usually my first question, to just kind of work our way up to where we are now. So you said you started writing when you were 9. Was that something you were doing in school or something you were doing at home, or how did that start for you? Because a lot of kids, many kids, do not like to read and write. They just don't like doing it. So for those of us who do like to do that, I always kind of inquire and then share with the audience, what is different about us that we like to read and write. So what kind of started that?
Okay, as I said before, I'm a PK. My father was a Southern Baptist minister. I grew up in the church, and I started typing all of my dad's sermons as he dictated them to me. I knew them all verbatim, almost could memorize them all. And it started at home with our family values and our spiritual values and our moral values and all. And every time something would happen, I would get a pen and paper and write it down. I always loved writing poetry and everything. Other kids would be outside playing, and I would have a pen and paper in my hand. So that's how I really got started. And I would go outside and look at the birds, and I could just write something about the birds or the blue sky, the green grass, and that's how it all got started.
Did you write in school as well?
I wrote in school as well. Yes, I did.
And what type of feedback did you get from your teachers? Because for many of my guests on the show, as we're talking about where they started, many of them would say it was because a teacher saw my work and encouraged me and said one day they thought I would be a writer or an author or I would do this, that, or the other. Did you have that experience at all?
I did. In my junior year, as a matter of fact, up to my senior year, I took English literature. I took literary writing in school. I was in the drama club, and I would write a lot of plays for my class.
So then you did have that experience, and you
Yes.
you actually got to the point where you've seen your work acted out.
Yes.
When you were writing, what was that like for you to know that you were, in high school or in school, you've written this play, and now you see your classmates and teachers working to make that come alive?
It gave me a feeling that it's really hard for me to explain. I just felt really good about myself. And I still attribute that to my parents for giving me that extra boost and believing in me and encouraging me as I was growing up. It just gave me a sense of being able to do something to give back. And it's just a tremendous joy for me. Right now, today, as an adult, I still feel the same way.
And it's interesting in terms of you speaking about parents. I mean, I don't think enough people, I think many don't care about their children because they do. But I can tell the level of support the children get. I could just look at them and talk to them and see what their homework is like. I could tell the level of support they get because all of us had parents. That's how we got here. But that don't mean every parent is parenting.
Exactly.
So you're going through, you've got the encouragement from your parents, you got the encouragement from your teachers, you're writing things down. Did you publish anything in your teen years? Because my guest last week or either week before last, it actually was publishing like at the high school level. Were you publishing anything then?
As a matter of fact, I had, from the Children's Literary Guild, I had published like an essay of children's poems and called The Green Thumb, and I did that, and a few of my poetries, I have a website, some of those were published also.
Now, you heard me say just now that I work in education, and I'm seeing on your LinkedIn profile that you actually worked in the court system. You were actually...
Oh, yes, As a matter of fact, I just retired July 1st.
Good for you.
Yeah, 25 years and 3 months of service. I'm a certified court administrator, also a paralegal as well.
So then,
and also a LPN.
So then some of the things that I was just talking about with Mary, that I know you've seen, because usually, unfortunately, too many of our kids wind up somewhere in the court system.
Yes, definitely, yes.
So that I know you can understand where I'm talking about. Congratulations to you on your retirement, because I see retired certified municipal court administrator.
Yes.
So did you ever write about any?
Expect the preacher's kids somehow to be above everybody else.
That's right.
Can't make mistakes.
That's right.
If you do, they point their fingers at you.
Right.
So I found that too, and people still do not understand me right now today as an adult. I mean, they either think I'm antisocial or not knowing that as a writer, sometimes I need that quiet space.
That's right.
You know, and they look at me as being strange, weird, or you name it. So I wrote this book just hoping that it will open some eyes. But then again, it really didn't, Mark, because I still find people just seem like either they don't want to understand me or assumingly they don't like me for some reason. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting, again, that you said it, because my guest last week was Apostle. I had an Apostle on the show last week.
Yes.
And we were talking about how sometimes our church folks are worse in terms of judgment than folks out in the world.
I agree.
That if you're in, sometimes you have a case wherein, because we were talking about this whole notion of, you know, we always singing just as I am, come in just as I am. So we're very focused on the person off of the street or in the world. But a lot of times, if you happen to make a mistake as someone, a believer in the church, you're judged harder, if not harder, or worse. In a year that is worse when it's really not. That
right.
They're just saying, well, you know, that's Reverend such and such daughter or Reverend such and such son. I don't expect that out of him. But the truth of the matter is, your father is the reverend or your father is the pastor. That's not you.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the preachers' wives and so forth and so on. And it really can get, and that's what we talked about last week when I have David on the line last week. And this is kind of like 2 weeks of this. And the truth of it, we're all human beings.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to. And none of us have any right to judge any of us.
No.
And so when people get into that, it's kind of like, no, that's not where we're going. So your book basically is a poetry book, or is it a novel, or is it a narrative?
Well, this book, Looking Behind the Mirror, is more like memoirs of my childhood growing up, my values, as I said, family values, and it speaks of my dad, my siblings, my mom. So it's more of a memoir type.
Well, it was like I was telling Apostle Taylor last week in terms of the judging and everything. One, we don't have the power to do that because we're not God.
Exactly.
And so in terms of our upbringing, the Bible says, train up a child in the way that he or she will go, and when they're old, they won't depart from it.
Yes.
So even though as you go along the path, regardless if you're a PK or a DK or whatever kind of K,
right.
As you go along the path, if you had the proper foundation, eventually you make your way back.
Exactly.
And when I was talking to David last week, he shared how whenever he was a teen, he was in the gang. And he said he was ruthless, he was evil, and he had a Saul to Paul experience. He literally had a dream, and that converted him.
Oh, wow.
And he had this like around 16, 17 years old, and he actually went back into school and began converting some of his classmates, particularly some of the folks that were in the gang with him. But he had been raised in the church. Mm-hmm. And what he was saying was, even though my mother and father always talked about this Jesus, always told me, I didn't know him for myself.
Right.
After he had that dream, he now knew what his parents were talking about. And I'm saying all that to say, it doesn't matter if you're a PK, a deacon's kid, a trustee's kid, a usher's kid, a choir director's kid. It does not matter until a person knows God for themselves, until a person knows Jesus for themselves.
Yes.
that will do the transformation. So for other folks to be casting judgment, that's not their place.
No, it's not.
And I find it interesting as well that, as many of us do, you turn to writing as almost like a form of therapy. Am I right with that? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
You're absolutely right. Yes.
So when did you find, or when do you find your best time to write? Because I'm with you on the silence and quiet thing. I can be just as happy sitting down with no noise. And I honestly, Mary, believe there are some folks that are scared of silence.
They are. They are very afraid of silence. But I find that that's when I can be myself. I can talk to God one-on-one with no outside disturbances whatsoever. I can be with a crowd of people and still be silent and feel like I'm alone.
And for me, like I said, I appreciate the silence because I'm in so much noise during the day that when I do get somewhere and get silent, I'm fine with that. I don't have to. I don't watch a whole lot of television. I watch a little every now and again.
Yeah, I love to read more so than watch TV.
Same here. I'm the same way. You give me a book or somewhere and get me in a quiet corner, I'm just as happy. But I mean, there are some. I mean, dealing with the kids, one of the hardest things to do is to get them to just sit down and be quiet, because when the room gets silent, somebody has to do something to make some kind of noise. And that's why I say I'm almost sure there are some people, the silence scares them. I know, like, every morning when I get up, I leave everything quiet. My wife likes to turn the radio on whenever she gets up and everything. She doesn't listen to the radio. But for me, I could just as well go through the morning and not have a thing on, because I'm going through my mind trying to go through what's going to happen in my day, what I'm going to do here, what I'm going to do there. Like you say, meditating, just... I don't have a problem with the radio being on because that's what she likes. But as for me, I could have nothing on. It could be just as quiet and it wouldn't faze me.
That's me.
So, all right, if you just joined us, this is the Reading Circle with Marc Medley, heard live every Saturday morning from 6 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock a.m. Actually, I do stay on from 7 to 9. We changed the format, and I put on the gospel music, unless we have a Reading Circle doubleheader like we do this morning. Because my guest coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, she'll be calling in shortly, and then we'll continue on with that. But I'm going to share some more information with you. Let someone know that Mary Bowers is on the air with me. She's the author of Looking Behind the Mirror, Getting to Know Me from the Inside Out, and Before the Last Teardrop Falls. Let somebody know she's on the air with me through all of your social media sites. Call somebody the old-fashioned way if you want to, or text somebody. Just let them know that we are indeed on the air.
Hey, parents of children with asthma, here's another hit from the Breathe Easies.
Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke around the kids in the house. Don't smoke in the car. Don't smoke in the house. Don't break my heart with your secondhand smoke in the kids. It can trigger the asthma.
Preventing asthma attacks can be as simple as making your home and car smoke-free zones. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
Hey, what's up? Thinking about you. XOXOXO. Want to snuggle. ... JK. Hit me back. You getting these texts? ? We should hang later. I miss you. Holla at ya, boy. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you at home? Where are you? What are you doing? OMG. You are making me mad. Are you with your ex? You better text me back. I'm waiting outside your house.
Relentless, aggressive texting is like sending an angry robot to deliver your message. When does the robot become dangerous? Let us know at that'snotcool.com.
That'snotcool.com.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
Yes, indeed you are. And my guest this morning is Mary Bowers. We're talking about her two works that was both released in 2014. And we were also talking about, because the books are dealing with, one, the pressure of either being related to someone who is has a religious title or a spiritual title or a spiritual position, such as a preacher or a deacon or whomever, which kind of, I guess, sparked, from what I'm listening to, Mary, some of the works that's going on in these books. And I can truly relate to you, because I remember it's been about 20 years now, whenever the pastor of my church at that time had selected me to be a deacon of the church. And Mary, I struggled with that decision for a long time. I just could not come up with a reason to tell the pastor no. And This is going back 20-some years ago. But I remember when I was in the, I guess they call it the training or the walk-in session or whatever they call it during that time period, whenever you're in your trial period, I remember going to my aunt's wedding. And I remember after the wedding, because we had the wedding at, no, it was my sister's wedding. I'm sorry. It was my sister's all too. You're not going to be judging me or this, that. No, don't get me wrong. I understand the significance and the severity and the reality and the seriousness of what we do. Right. Because really, we could be the difference between somebody going to heaven, going to hell, somebody being saved, somebody not being saved. That's what we're there for. Yes. But at the same time, there are no perfect anything. There are no perfect preachers. There are no perfect deacons, no perfect ushers, no perfect choir members. We're striving for that.
Right.
But we're human like anybody else. So when you're going to tell me that I can't dance with my wife at my sister's wedding, I got a problem with that.
Exactly.
So, so, looking behind the mirror, getting to know me from the inside out is a poetry book. Have you faced any challenges with it being a poetry book instead of a storybook?
No. They knew exactly it was my memoirs, because I have their pictures on the front cover, my family. So they knew exactly what it was, the story of my life.
And when you got a bunch of things in my drawer or in my journal or whatever, it's another thing to get it now printed and published. And as I saw on there, how do I get more exposure?
I know.
It's a whole nother. What is that experience like for you, going from the journal and the drawers and the notebooks to now putting something together that I'm going to have out in the market?
It was awesome for me because, I've had so much writing material here. Then I finally decided to put it together. And believe it or not, Mark, I didn't think that it would be that easy for me. They had the proofreading and all that and make sure everything. And when they told me that it was accepted and they was going to, it was ready for publishing, I was very excited. So now I'm very motivated. Like I said, I'm on my third book now. So I'm very inspired by myself and encouraged. So.
And now that you're retired, that means I'm assuming you have more time to do this.
Yes, I have more time to do this.
Well, that's a good thing, because you can retire out of one career and kind of do your passion.
Yes.
So when you put your collection of poems and everything together, did you clearly you already had these, or were you writing them real time?
I had some, and some I would just write verbatim. I would get sometimes in the middle of the night or morning hours, like 2 or 3 o'clock. If something is there, they still don't understand you.
Well, I don't think people in general understand too many artists or art forms. I mean, folks who are artists that draw, folks who are musicians, for me personally, like take for example, like Michael Jackson. To me, Michael Jackson was as weird as they came, but you could not top his talent. It's the same for me with Prince and some other folks. And I'm not knocking them or judging them for being weird. I just think God has gifts in folks that where they may lack, and because they're so super talented on one end, they may seem strange to other people who are just average, normal, or what have you. So some of the things that we do as artists or as musicians or whatever does seem strange to the average person, but it's not strange to us.
Right.
Because for me, like I said, Michael Jackson, if you ever heard him talk or if he was interviewed, it was very strange.
Yes.
But when Michael got on that stage, and I saw a few of Michael Jackson's concerts, there was no one that could top his showmanship, the choreography, the singing, the everything. But on the others, because I think personally with Michael, I think he was the reverse of everybody else, wherein for us, not many people who are shy or being on stage would like kill them. I think for Michael, it was the reverse. Just having to do everything in life for him was a struggle. But on stage was when he came alive.
Exactly.
And for many artists, it's that way. So that's why a lot of times the person is not an artist like that. It's just like mathematicians, folks who are like very like nerdy into the numbers, this and that. They seem strange to people. Like, it's just people need to accept people for who they are.
They should.
And that's just the bottom line, that we as a world, for whatever reason, are always focusing on the differences instead of celebrating the differences and being happy with our similarities.
Right. I always talk about diversity.
The diversity, right. Celebrate what everybody brings to the table. And then see, and in all honesty, everybody is more similar than they are different. That's why the differences need to be celebrated.
Yeah, because I told him in my book, if God had wanted us to be clones, he would have created clones.
That's right. Everything and everybody would have been the same. What makes everything, we would have even greater power if we didn't have the isms. And that's what most people don't know.
Exactly.
That people don't realize that you would have even more power if we didn't have the isms.
Yes.
And yet the isms are there. You have the racism, you have the sexism, you have it really is sad. It is. But when you can finally realize, you know what, I may not agree with everything you say, but you do give me a different perspective. Like, I work, as I always share in the school, I have an entire leadership team that I bring them around the table, and because they're looking to me as the leader to make the final decision. I said, well, I'm okay with that, but I want to hear everybody's thoughts.
Right. You want some feedback.
Right. And once I hear everybody's thoughts, then I'll put all that together and come up with a decision.
Right.
Instead of me just going in there being a dictator saying, this is the way it's going to be.
Exactly. And I find that too often done in
Republicans and those who were sick. Somebody brought to my wife brought to my attention the other day, somebody told her to tell me to read the book of Mark, because that's the book of miracles. Mm-hmm. And until she positioned it that way, I never looked at it that way and didn't think about it. And then one day I said, you know what, let me start reading Mark. And sure enough, that first chapter of Mark was, bam, one miracle after another.
Exactly.
One miracle after another. As you started going through the first chapter of Mark, Jesus would hit this one, then he raised the dead on this one, he healed the sick on that one, he cured this, he did that. And so that's the folks.
Music business works.
Sort of like a Music Biz 101.
Exactly.
Wait, isn't there a show on at that time called Music Biz 101 and More that brings faculty and students from WP's music and entertainment management programs together with industry guests that take call-in questions and tweets from listeners about the biz?
Yep. It's aired all last spring, and it's starting up again every Wednesday at 8 p.m. right here on 88.7 WPSC.
Yes! There were great guests like Steve Lees from Sirius Radio and Aaron Van Dyne, who handles business affairs for KISS, Three Doors Down, Dave Matthews Band, and more. Also, Carl Guthrie, legendary entertainment attorney, and Paul Sinclair, VP of Digital for Atlantic Records. So, Steve, who's lined up for this semester?
We have Dave Laurie, who will talk about tour management, Sean Rosenberg, a social media guru, and Sean and Rachel from Blue Raven Entertainment, just to name a few.
Wow, sounds great. And it's free.
That's right. Free advice every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. live at Music Biz 101 and more on WPSC 88.7 Brave New Radio.
You are listening to The Reading Circle with your host, Marc Medley. I'm going to share this with you and then move on. Saving money today is like getting a gift for your future self. Now, I'm a witness to that because I didn't do it and I don't have any. What do you want to buy in the future? Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, the Ad Council, and your friends right here at WP 88.7 FM. Well, we're going back to our discussion. My guest this morning is Mary Bowers, authors based on what we see externally.
That's right.
When the true, at least in my view, the true person is what's going on the inside. And those of us in the church, we know that we say God looks at the heart.
Exactly.
God looks like on what's the inside of us, not necessarily what's on the outside of us. But Mary, I tell you, for many, that's a tough sell. I mean, a lot of times, I heard the question the other day on Yolanda Adams' morning show. It was one of the, like I said, my wife turns on the radio in the morning when we're getting dressed. Mm-hmm. And the question was similar to this question. You know, if you had the choice between beauty on the inside or beauty on the outside, and I'm paraphrasing, which would you take?
Of course, beauty on the inside.
Many people did come up, but there was some that said, well, I got to have the attractiveness on the outside first.
But that's going to soon fade away. What are you going to do then?
That's correct. That's exactly right. But many of us make our decisions on the body shape, the alleged attractiveness of the face.
Right.
And many other issues, when the truth of the matter is you could have someone who is less physically attractive that truly has a beautiful inner spirit.
Exactly.
So a lot of the people were saying, well, before I could even know what the inner spirit is about, I have to have something to attract me to the person. And so that has to be the outer piece. What we do is serious.
Exactly.
And laughter is a part of that. And having that, and if, again, you want to go biblically, that's what's in there. In terms, you go into the blessed are the poor, blessed are those, the peacemakers, blessed are those. Go into the Beatitudes.
Yes.
That's talking the spirit there. When you get into the Beatitudes, I don't think it said, blessed are the good looking.
No.
I don't think it said, blessed are those with good hair.
No.
I don't think it said, blessed are those with the hourglass body. I don't think it said all that, at least not the Bible the last time I read it.
No.
But it does start talking about that inner piece. So you're saying, look behind. And again, we were talking about Michael Jackson earlier. One of his songs is, I'm looking at the man in the mirror. That's right. I'm looking at the man in the mirror. In other words, I want to know me, getting to know me from the inside out. Because I'm looking here at the little bio in LinkedIn. Stop judging and stereotyping me from a mirror image of what you think you actually see. Right. Take off the rose-colored glasses and look beyond my inner being and see the contents of the real person that dwells within. In black and white, my physical attributes does not validate the person I am on the inside. In order to get something similar with a little bit different spin on there. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if she put it on the shelf or just stopped it or what. But as we said earlier when we started talking, the family life makes such a difference.
It does. It does.
If there's any unit that Satan is after, because Satan is on his job, make no mistake. If there's any unit that Satan is after, it's the family unit.
Yes.
Because
once he divide that,
that's right.
He got you conquered.
He got everything else, and that is exactly in my mind what's going on with us in every. And you coming out of the court system, I know you saw it.
Oh yes, I've seen it all. Yeah.
So you did Looking Behind the Mirror in February 2014, and then Before the Last Teardrop Falls was released in July.
Yes.
So these were things that were on the shelf. Well, how did that happen that quickly?
Because all my materials, I just had to compile it all up, and it was already written.
All right, that makes sense.
I laid it on the shelf, like something you said your sister had done.
Right.
I just laid it there.
So it's been on the shelf, so you just published it. All right, so it just because I asked that question for many times, how long did it take you to do it? For some people, they say 10 years. For some, they say 10 months. For some, they say 2 months. But in your case, it was already there. You just needed to publish it.
It was already there, yeah.
And I'm going to ask again in terms of whenever you made that decision to publish. And now, and because this is...
Hey, I was flabbergasted, to be honest. I mean, I said, oh, my name is in black and white for the world to see. You know, awesome.
As you reread through it, now that it was a final version, did you read it through and say, did I write that? Or do you have sections where you don't even remember it, don't even remember writing it? As you read through it again, now the final version is like, oh my God, I actually wrote this.
Yeah, no, as I read through it, I could almost recite verbatim what I wrote. But yeah, as I read through it, I knew I wrote it because these are my inner thoughts. So I just seeing it in print, though, it makes a big difference.
Now, you were sharing your inner thoughts. What was that like for you to now know I'm sharing my inner thoughts with the world?
Like I tell them in both my books, I write my life story in black and white for everyone. Nothing to hide, no holds barred or nothing. I just want it out there.
So you weren't afraid now people were going to judge you even more after reading it?
Yes, they are, and I find that they still do.
Wow, but at least you've laid the cards on the table.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I did.
And you know that's one of the best ways to squelch or to squash something is to just put it out there?
Yeah, just put it out there.
That's because because you know why? You own it then. The gossipers and the haters and the naysayers, they don't own your story at that point. You own your story.
Right.
And so that's the best way. If you ever want to take something away from a gossiper or a hater or a naysayer.
Because people ask me, well, when you started writing, did you actually think you were going to make a lot of money? I said that never entered my mind. It's something that's my passion, something that I wanted to do, put it out there. It's not like I thought I could strike it rich, or a lot of time people don't read anyway, some of them.
Right.
You know, it's just something I like to do.
So, and most of us, that's another weird thing about those of us who are artists. Now, I'm not saying those who are artists don't make money, because many do, but most of us don't.
Right, exactly.
But we're doing it because we love to do it. We want to share a part of us with the world.
Right.
And that is what drives us as folks that you people tease me all the time that I wake up early on a Saturday morning. I don't get paid for doing this. This is a passion of mine. I've been doing it for 13 years on this station.
Wow. That's good.
It's a passion of mine. I love doing it. I don't even really care to get up early, but on Saturday mornings I'm up bright and early to come up here to the studio, and it's not necessarily that bright, but I'm up.
Okay. And well, you got to have your coffee, right?
Yeah, exactly. I have a routine every Saturday morning. I have a routine. I've gotten to the point where the folks at Dunkin' Donuts, they know me when I come in on Saturday morning. I see them that once a week whenever I ride through and get my bagel and coffee coming up to the studio. But my point is, people do what they want to do.
I know.
And in terms of your passion, if you can find something that's your passion, money really doesn't come into that. Now, for many people, because they're doing what they're passionate about, they do ultimately make money from it. And that's
like Tyler Perry.
Exactly.
He started selling books out of the trunk of his car.
Tyler, Michael Baisden, has been a lot of them that started off the same way that you're starting off. Right. They wrote their work. They got the word out. Like you asked the question, how do I get more exposure? They got the word out. They did little shows like this. They got on to bigger shows. They got it. I mean, it really is just a matter of to just keep pushing.
Right. I'm not going to give up. You know, the devil is telling me, why don't you just give it up? You know, the little voice in your head. But no, I'm going to keep pushing.
No, you keep pushing, because I like I said, I see here on LinkedIn, newly published author, writer, poet. How can I gain exposure to endorse my writings? I have a poetry site. That's what first caught my eye. When I saw that, that's when
first I said, oh, he's probably not going to respond because he's so busy, you know.
That's what caught my eye, and that's whenever I contacted you and said, let's set a date.
Right.
Because on this show, God has blessed me to talk to some of the most famous and some of the most not so famous. I've done local authors and I've done international authors.
Okay.
I mean, I'm speaking to you today. I've spoken with Judge Hatchett. I've spoken with Nikki Giovanni. I've spoken with, what's his name, Newt Gingrich's daughter, Jackie. I've spoken with Omar Tyree. I mean, it has run the gamut.
Yeah, I read your blog, on the thing. Yeah, and I saw all the authors that you've had. That you had previously up there,
Right, and so it's run the gamut. And like I said, for me, don't make any money out of it, but it's a passion. I get to meet and talk with some wonderful people. I get to write about it. I get to share with the rest of the world. And so, again, you just keep pushing. You just keep plugging along.
I'm trying, Mark. I'm trying. This is my first one so far. But then when you write, some people, they don't respond back. So
that's right. Good morning. Who just joined us? Hey, Cora, this is Marc Medley, and I have my first guest from the 6 o'clock hour, Mary Bowers, on the line. Cora Daniels, Mary Bowers.
Hi. Hi.
Good. All right, so we're wrapping up one and about to start the other. So I'll tell you what, Mary.
Yes.
I always give the author the last minute or couple minutes to promote. You could say anything with the exception of the price. So anything other than the dollar figure of what the thing costs, you could tell where it's available on the websites. You can tell where you're going to be. If you're going to do any book signings, you might want to check out some local bookstores, see if they'll do a book signing for you. Things like that is what gets you exposure. But this is your opportunity to just let it all hang out and let folks know how they can get a copy of. Let's see, let me pull it back up. Looking Behind the Mirror, Getting to Know Me from the Inside Out. And then your second book, Before the Last Teardrop Falls. Let folks know how they can get copies of both your work.
Okay. You can get copies of Looking Behind the Mirror, Getting to Know Me from the Inside Out, and also my other book, Before the Last Teardrop Falls. It's available in your online bookstores, at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and Exlibris.com. Or you can phone them, at 1-888-795-4274. And so it's a good read for both books, and very inspirational, encouraging, and inspiring. So please get a copy of that. Thank you.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the first hour of our Reading Circle doubleheader. My guest in this hour was Mary Bowers, and you've heard my guest in the 7 o'clock hour. She's called in, and we'll be up and ready to go in a couple of minutes. I'm going to introduce her. But, Mary, I wish you nothing but Godspeed, nothing but the best with your 2 works. And I know you said you're working on your 3rd work also.
Yes.
So just keep on everywhere you go. You let somebody know that you've written those 2. Get you some business cards if you haven't done that already.
I have that already.
Just everywhere you go, pass them out. All the social media sites, just like you connected with me, do the same thing with everybody else.
Okay.
'Cause this is the other piece of it. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you ask anybody, the worst they can say is no.
I know. I get that a lot.
Right. And if they say no, you're no worse off than you were when you asked. But if they say yes, like when you contacted me.
Right.
If they say yes, now you've moved on to the next step. So if they say no, you're no worse off. But if they say yes.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. You're right. And I really appreciate it. And thank you so much.
You are more than welcome. Have a wonderfully blessed day.
You too.
And I'll be in touch with you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care now.
All
Cora,
right,
you hang on.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye now.